Why you keeping me waiting?
Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to Superhuman Radio. Today is Thursday. We usually do the Blueprint Power Hour on Tuesday, but we had to switch things around this week. And so I'll be on with my co-host in just a moment, Rob Regish, to get started. I'm a little under the weather because I drank too much last night. This is, it's really weird. I'm under a lot of stress right now. And I want to just disconnect from my brain for a while, and I turn to booze, and it's not helping me at all. It's making it worse because the next day I feel like shit. But it's that I just have, we went out to a Cuban restaurant last night. They make the best margarita in the world. It's like a fishbowl of booze, and generally, I just have one of those because one of them is like 2 margaritas, with the booze in it. I mean, they put a lot more tequila. They put a lot more triple sec in it. I ended up having 2. And then I rode my motorcycle home, which was really a bad move, a stupid move on my part. But I gotta stop the alcohol. I really do. I took a little Magic Mind this morning, and it made me feel so much better. I didn't feel hungover. I felt like I had energy. That stuff is amazing. It really is. Before we get started, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that is Legendary Foods, for always being there for us. My daughter's dog has cancer, and we got some Visionary pet food from them. They were so gracious to send out a couple bags. It's amazing. The companies with the biggest hearts seem to be the most successful, and the companies that everything is about the dollar, not so much. And Ron Penna builds great corporate cultures. But anyway, the Tasty Pastry is an amazing snack. If you're like me, you want a snack at the end of your meal, this is the way to go. Less than 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high quality protein, 4 to 5 net carbs. But you'll eat them because they're delicious. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to let them know you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. And now we're going to add my buddy, play his theme music. You're so special.
Calling all Blueprint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the Blueprint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
You think that theme is too corny? Do we need to change it?
I don't know. I've never had anyone say anything, either positive or negative about it.
Nothing. Yeah. How are you?
Doing well. As I told you, I had a hell of a workout yesterday.
Monster leg day.
Yeah, it's just, I was saying it was one of those workouts where on the drive home, I thought to myself, I'm so glad I was able to push my body that far. But also, gosh, I hope when I get home, I'm not pissed off like the last time this happened.
I hope I don't need a wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fine line, right?
I think that the most. I'm sorry. I'm making the post visible to the public right now. There we go. It's the most gratifying, especially as you get older, to work hard.
Yes.
For me, I mean, for me, it is. You know, like I didn't do farmers walks for a long time, and then I went out and bam, and there's something about treading lightly into that danger zone when you know, I haven't done this in a long time. I haven't trained legs this hard in a long time, and there's a little sensation of risk, and the strenuousness of the workout. But I think it's really important to periodically push yourself into those danger zones. I don't mean be reckless, because I've done that. I've done reckless. I'm torn muscles and detached muscles and all that sort of stupid stuff. But to have the ability to sample your stress level and strain level in a movement and go a little tiny bit farther than you really feel comfortable, I think there's a lot of value in that. A lot of people, they don't even challenge themselves. They just, I'm not even going to try that. And as you age, I think it's important to do.
Yeah, I mean, my son has seen me collapse after certain workouts, and what I explained to him is, Nick, the day is coming when I will no longer be able to push myself, or even maybe, God forbid, get out of the chair. But when that day comes, I do not want to be the guy that looks back and says, "Could have trained a little harder."
Yeah.
So it's a privilege.
Horn Frog, who's watching on YouTube, says Margaritaville is a fun destination, but it's I can't do it anymore. I just can't, because then I feel horrible for the next 2 days. The hangovers last longer now, and
don't they load up their margaritas too pretty heavy there?
What do you mean?
Like they don't water them down at all.
Oh no! So I don't drink a margarita that comes from a mix. Okay. Like you go to Chi-Chi's, they have that green slushy stuff floating around in there, and they just pull the spigot and they go here. I don't drink those. I drink when I drink or make margaritas at home, it's 2 shots of tequila, 1 shot of triple sec, and fresh squeezed lime juice. That's it. Wow. And now, when you put it in the shaker and you have ice cubes in the shaker and you shake it, you get a little watered down, but it's 10% water as opposed to margarita mixes. Right. So I tend to drink a strong margarita in the first place.
Well, hopefully in the future you can steer clear of that. I know sometimes it's hard because let's face it, it does relax a lot of people. Just it's got downsides too.
Yeah. So we were talking about training a little bit off the air. Yep. I took off today, and I was planning on taking off today from training, but my training is going very well. I actually did a planned some planned time off. I'm sorry, I'm having so much trouble talking today. I planned to take off for 4 days, and I did. And I really feel like it was the wise thing to do, because then when I came back, I was stronger. That's my biggest fear, is taking off and coming back weaker. But I think that it really is important. A lot of people train too hard, too often. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of value into planning time off, even if it's just 4 or 5 days. And remember, we talked about back in the day, it was you train 7 weeks, and week 8 you take off completely. And that was a standard protocol for a lot of people. They grew. They didn't shrink in that week off.
No, and in fact, even when I lost a little strength, it wasn't a matter of, I think, 2 to 3 workouts just to tune your central nervous system back up, and your strength was back fast.
Yeah. Please post your questions, comments. Say hi, and we'll give you a shout out. The first question we have comes from Larry Wyndham. I'm moving more into calisthenics now that I'm older. I've lost a lot of size in my legs, though. How do you use calisthenics for leg training?
Very pertinent observation, right? Because as much as I have and will continue to advocate for calisthenics, it is not a perfect solution. And that shows up in your leg training, I think, faster than anywhere else. So it's not hard to understand why, though. So, for example, we know from studies, for whatever reason, the legs are the first to go when it comes to the age-associated loss of muscle tissue, right? Sarcopenia. I think you had a good theory on that, and I'm sure we'll discuss it. Second, the magnitude of the stress that you can impose on your legs with calisthenics is considerably less than with free weights. And so, said another way, when the stress of reps with 3, 4, 500 pounds or more in the barbell squat disappears, so too does the reason for the legs, right, to stay so big. There is just, from what I can see, I may be missing something, and I went back to read more about this, but I can see no practical way, unlike the upper body, where you can overload your legs to the same extent as you can, right, with the upper body. Paul Wade, in fact, author of Convict Conditioning, which I've recommended many times, he had a follow-on book called CMAS, I think it was, and it was all about hypertrophy with calisthenics. And the crux of his argument was this: it simply takes more volume. And he's got a point there. But there are problems associated with that, not the least of which is, you know, the most intense work that you can do is unilateral work, right? So even with a weight vest on a thing like a one-legged squat or a pistol, you will struggle to overload the legs to the same degree as you can with a barbell on your back or the other movements. Problem number two is that one-legged squats are a mixed feat of strength, balance, and flexibility and joint integrity. So plenty of guys coming from barbell squats, they've got the raw strength to do a one-legged squat, but they fail miserably almost always due to primarily poor balance, because that hasn't been developed yet. And a good number will also fail due to poor joint integrity and an overall lack of connective tissue flexibility. Those are not qualities that weights give you as much as calisthenics, in my opinion. Now, those are great qualities to develop, no question, but the fact remains, even with a vest, I just don't see how you can impose that same stress on your legs. And further, if you do opt for high volume with, let's say, one-legged squats or pistols, unless you're really proficient at them, it's not easy to get the higher volume necessary.
Well, and you can't activate your legs to the same degree if you're doing one-legged work. So the hips contribute a great deal of strength to leg workouts. And if you don't believe this, theoretically, let's say you can leg press 1,000 pounds. Well, with one leg, you should be able to leg press 500 pounds. Yeah, try that. Try that. So the stability of the hips when you're doing one-legged work is what allows you to engage the strength of your legs. And if your hips are not both planted by both feet being planted, you don't have as much strength. And it's not that the hips are working. It's not like your hips are working. It's the fact that you can't develop the same level of strength with one leg as you can with two, because the hip wants to give up. Your pelvis wants to shift, and you can't do it.
Right.
So that has a lot. But I'll tell you what I think a solution is.
I got one too.
Be strong, BFR, Be Strong bands. Do your calisthenics with Be Strong bands, the leg bands. The blood flow restriction bands. Right. Because they are designed to build muscle and strength with lighter weight and higher reps.
Right, that's their purpose.
Yes, and I've now incorporated them into my ARX training, and I can see amazing changes. In fact, in the morning I do cardio with them on, and by the time I'm done with cardio, my legs have blown up, and I didn't even do a squat or a leg press.
I believe it.
So I'm telling you right now, like if you want to make calisthenics more effective at making your muscles bigger, incorporate calisthenics with blood flow restriction.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion. As is, some other things, holding on to straps while you're doing your one-legged squats, right? That's going to allow you to do more, because that allows you to, that helps with the balance, right? And also the assist if you need it. By and large, though, I would tell you that if at all possible, you are much better off laying a solid foundation, squatting with free weights when you're young, maximizing your leg size, and then you can try to keep it with high volume calisthenics later in life.
And I've been doing hip thrusts. Well, I was doing hip thrusts way before they became a popular, I want a big booty exercise, because I discovered that my sticking point in the squat was in the hole, and that's all glute driven. That is when you're down there and you're trying to push out, that is all glutes at that point in time. The glutes get you, they start the whole process. And if you don't believe it, Louis Simmons taught people to squat like they were looking for a chair. Like, when you walk up to a chair, you turn around,
Yep.
and your back is to the chair, and you're going back. Your butt moves first to go back and find the chair. And he taught people that that's the right way to squat. The butt moves first. Well, the butt activates first in the hole to get you out of the hole. When I started focusing on making my glutes stronger, my squat and my deadlift both got stronger.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. That's also a great movement, in my opinion, to work the lockout of a squat or a deadlift, because as you know, as you get to the top of the movement, you need to pop the hips through. And, that movement is all about popping the hips up, and then, right, it's to extension pretty much as far as they'll go. So that's another great suggestion. I've seen some guys pushing cars, pulling cars, sleds, etc. That's another way. But it's just, calisthenics are great. Do not get me wrong. I highly, highly recommend them. But in this instance, this is their Achilles heel, I think.
You mean you build a nice physique with calisthenics, but you won't have the kind of muscular mass that training with heavy weights will give you. That's the limitation. But I'm going to challenge somebody to, maybe Larry, get some BFR bands on your legs and on your upper arms and do all of your calisthenics, because when you have BFR bands on your upper arms, just moving, your forearms get pumped, literally, and you're not even doing any curls or anything like that. I put them on, all 4 bands. I also have some theories about hemodynamics and blood flow restrictions effects on the heart, like that are good. And I'm going to have Dr. James Stray Gunderson on the show in the very near future, and I'm going to discuss that. And the other thing that I've discovered is I think that the B Strong bands on the legs could be possibly the answer to peripheral neuropathy in the lower legs.
Yeah,
because
that's what we were discussing.
It forces those small blood vessels to open up. I mean, because you can't, unless you're doing like 20 rep breathing squats,
right?
You can't develop that much pressure in the legs, in the vasculature in the legs. This does it. And I really do think, and that's another question I'm going to have for him too, when he comes on the show. But yeah, I think that that could be the secret to building a massive body with calisthenics. Be strong, BFR bands. Let's take a question from the audience.
Sure.
Richard Miller, the fitness freak, says, my clients are in a tizzy with your schedule. I give them $20 off when they show me that they watch Tuesday show, and they'll be mad that they didn't get the discount this week. Haha. No, that's funny. That's a good incentive. You know, I think paying people to fall in love with healthy practices is a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree.
Tommy D has a question for you.
Yep.
From your experiences, 25 milligrams of ephedrine sulfate and Broncaid, equivalent to 25 milligrams of ephedrine hydrochloride, or is there more ephedrine sulfate needed to attain the desired effects compared to hydrochloride?
People will tell you that hydrochloride and sulfate, potency-wise, are interchangeable. I disagree. I don't have all the science behind it, but I've taken enough ephedrine sulfate to know that it does not give me, for whatever reason, the kick that an equivalent milligram amount of ephedrine hydrochloride does. Now, one thing to point out, when you're dealing with those two ephedrine products that have ephedrine in them, Primatene tablets and Broncaid. The Primatene tabs are 12.5 milligrams a tab of ephedrine hydrochloride, whereas the Broncaid are 25, right? Double that of ephedrine sulfate. If you double the amount of ephedrine sulfate, will you feel what you would on half the amount of ephedrine hydrochloride? That's a tough one. You know, I think it's an individual thing. I'm grateful that the powers that be removed the, oh gosh, what was the guafenicin that they used to include in these products, allegedly because the bad guys are, it made it harder for them to use this
Make
stuff.
methamphetamine, right?
Starter material. But needless to say, that's gone now. The guafenicin is gone. So personally, I would tell you, try both. Keep track of an equivalent milligram amount, and you will find which one works better for you.
Oh, I left Larry Wyndham up there. Sorry about that. Okay, we have one more question from the audience, and then we'll go back to the pre-program questions. So Taylor C., who I have to tell you, looking at his Facebook with a profile picture is much easier now that he has that pretty girl in the picture with him.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? He says, do you find it difficult to help people closest to you with their health issues? I find them to be the most resistant to listening. There's an old saying that comes from biblical times, and it is a prophet is never believed in his own home.
I would concur with that 100%. My wife, God bless her, listens to all of the stuff that comes out of my mouth. But when she is really focusing on her health and trying to lose weight and feel better, as she is right now, she has engaged another online fitness coach. One would think this would really upset me, but believe it or not, it doesn't. It doesn't, because number one, he's a great guy. I know who he is. He really knows his stuff. Number two, she needs to do what she needs to do, and if she needs to hear that from somebody else instead of her husband, okay, that's cool. I'm all on board with the final results. So, what you're saying is very true. As is, the couple that trains together stays together. It's just they're not always going to take your lead on things. And don't be offended by that. The end justifies the means.
Well, and you got to remember, Taylor, they know you before you became enlightened about health, right? And so, and a lot of people have a problem with, like, well, what are your credentials? Like, why am I going to listen to you?
Yeah.
And I used to say often on the show that the difference between you and a doctor are the books that you've read and that he's read or she's read. And people forget that you can teach yourself a lot if you spend time investing time into learning. So it's always that way. I mean, I have so many people, family members who, they don't take and the worst part of it is you tell them about something, right? Like we have, Elisa and I have friends. One time we started talking about the keto diet, we're experimenting with the keto diet. And then like a year later, they're doing the keto diet. Oh yeah, because I read this guy's blog. And I want to say, so what? You don't remember that I told you about that like a year ago? But this happens all the time. And that's why I have learned, it's very hard for me to do because I'm like Horseshack and Welcome Back Kotter. Ooh, 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 ooh. Now I don't tell people nothing. When I sit down with somebody and they say to me, man, I don't feel good, blah, 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 blah. I go, oh, yeah. I don't offer anything. My mother told me when I was a kid, because I had this problem, right? I wanted to, display my intelligence to people. And she said, an opinion given without a request is worthless. Like in other words, yeah. If people don't ask you for help, don't offer it. But if they do ask you for help, Elisa says to them, "Well, are you going to do what I say?" Because a lot of people, while you're telling them, they say, "Hey, what's good for arthritis pain?" And you start telling them what's good for them, and you can see that they're not listening; they're thinking. And then as soon as you stop, they say, well, I do this, this, and that. And I want to say to them, what the fuck are you asking me for then?
Yeah.
Like, why are you even asking me if you have the answers? Do what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. A lot of people, they're not sincerely seeking answers to their questions, but instead they're trying to get you to validate something they're already doing. Yeah. Happens all the time.
That's it.
Yep.
And that's why a lot of people want to convert you to their way of doing things, because then it reinforces in their mind that they made a good decision. This is why you have people who push like the vegan agenda. Look, if it works for you, God bless you. I don't want to do it. And it's because it's not so much that they want to share the good word. Have you heard the good word about Jesus? No, it's not because they want to share. Converting you makes them feel stronger about their own opinion. Oh, I guess I am right because he's following my advice now. So,
yeah, unless somebody, I'm the same way now. Unless somebody asks and I perceive them to be sincere, I don't bother. Why? I mean, think of all the time and energy I've spent trying to help my father.
Yeah.
Perfect example. No more. No.
Look at Richard Miller says, I call those people ask holes. They ask, but they won't apply the advice.
That's new.
And Taylor does. This is if you read into it. Note to self: complaining via Facebook posts is not asking for help. That's right. So people who are complaining on social media, they don't want advice. They want sympathy. So instead of saying, hey, you know what you need to do, blah, 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 you go, oh, you poor thing, you poor sad sack of shit. I feel so bad for you. And then don't forget to finish with prayers. I'll say a prayer for you. If you ever see me post something where somebody says they're sick or even asks for prayers and I go, I'm praying for you, know that my account has been hacked. Because I mean,
that big of an atheist, are you?
Yeah. Well, look, it's not so much an atheist, right? But even the Bible says God helps those who help themselves. True. That's a nice way of saying do it yourself, figure it out yourself. Don't ask for prayers. And if prayers really worked, there'd be a lot less dead people, because I belong to this one Italian group. And all they post is, oh, my mother's in the hospital, prayers. Oh, my prayer warriors, my sister's having her foot amputated, prayers. And those people all pray. They must be praying for these people, and it's not helping anything. Yeah, when the two teams, when Army and Navy face off, and both teams pray to the same God, and one wins and one loses. Why did God forsake that one team? They didn't pray right. They didn't pray hard enough. What? No, you don't. That's all bullshit. That's, you
do whole shows on that, man.
I could. I'd lose half my audience overnight. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We've got lots more questions. Please join in. If you have an issue with my attitude about prayer, you can put it up there, and I'll read it and take it seriously. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. Are you 35 or older? Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. This affects everything from making it harder to recover from workouts, sleep, and a general loss of a sense of well-being. It also affects your ability to get and stay lean. BioPro Plus is the first of its kind, 100% non-synthetic alternative to prescription synthetic growth hormone treatments. All the benefits without any of the needles or side effects, and 100% safe. Previously only available through doctors, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/biopro, that's BIOPRO, and use code SHR30 for $30 off today. Are you suffering from signs of an unhappy gut? Diversity is the key to healthy, robust inner ecosystem. Body Ecology probiotic liquids are made by fermenting organic seeds, biodynamic brown rice, and chickpeas together to create a diverse culture found nowhere else on Earth. It's the secret to restoring your gut's microbiome for a healthier digestive tract, improved immune function, and longevity. Take 20% off by visiting the website shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco, shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco, that's BODYECO, and using the code SHR20. There have been no new innovations in men's underwear for hundreds of years. That's all about to change with Sheath. Sheath creates two separate compartments for your man stuff so it doesn't get smashed into a mound and sweaty and stinky. I won't wear any other underwear now that I've learned about Sheath, and you won't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Sheath underwear. That's SHEATHUNDERWEAR. Use code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off. I promise you, once you try a pair of Sheath underwear, you will never wear anything else. The Hercules Pre-Workout from Lost Empire Herbs is like no pre-workout you have ever had before. Completely natural formula designed specifically to optimize workouts, provide quicker recovery time, provide adequate nutrition, and get you away from all those no-good, overstimulating pre-workout supplements on the market today. The Hercules Pre-Workout blend is a mix of extracted natural herbs and mineral pitch. No fake colors, no added flavors, nothing else. Not only will Hercules Pre-Workout formula help your workouts, but you'll likely discover lots and lots of side effects, beneficial side effects. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Lost Empire today to learn more. GHKCU is one of the most effective peptides for rebuilding more youthful skin, reversing skin damage, diminishing wrinkles, and tightening loose skin. I personally use Restoracell with GHKCU every day. It's making an undeniable difference in the quality of my skin. Restoracell is fantastic for all types of skin. Now you can order Restoracell and save 25% when you use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. While you may be diligent in your workouts and your diet, don't neglect what people see first and foremost, and that's your skin. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use code SHR25 today. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Hey, welcome back. I'm just a mess today. I'm making mistakes. It's like I'll be happy when the show's over and I can go home. All right, so let's get our next question up here. The next question comes from Tommy Rogers. Is glutamine something that can increase growth hormone? How about arginine, lysine, and glycine? And ornithine is another one that has been implicated in raising growth hormone. A friend is trying to sell me on repping for a GH product that is, I'm sorry, that this stuff is in. I also have deer antler velvet, or it also has deer antler velvet, vitamin C, and a few other odds and ends. I just wanted to know if this stuff really works. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to rep it. You don't have to,
It's the short answer to your question is yes. There are studies that you'll find that show that glutamine, arginine, lysine combinations, arginine by itself, glycine,
and
ornithine.
ornithine, that glutamine, lysine, glycine, ornithine, those four seem to stimulate a small pulse of growth hormone.
And so, so the answer is yes. However, the better question, I think, is this: will any of it help me gain muscle, lose fat, or improve my performance faster or better than it otherwise would? And on that score, it's a maybe. It's difficult to give an answer. Let me tell you why. Glutamine was supposed to be the next creatine, but it fell way short, despite studies showing that, among other things, it raised growth hormone. I think 2 grams sublingually raised GH something like 400% or 4 times. If you can get glutamine past the stomach lining, it might help in things like severe catabolic states, stringent, extended dieting, burn victims, etc., etc.
And I want to make sure people understand something. To the reason Rob says if you can get it past the stomach lining isn't because it's not bioavailable, but 80% of the glutamine that you consume in your food stays in the tissue. The highest concentration of glutamine is in your gut and intestines.
Yeah, it is dynamite. For example, people with Crohn's or other digestive and stomach related issues, it is a total game changer for a lot of those people. It's very soothing on the stomach. It seems to heal the stomach lining. And let's face it, the amount of muscle that you can build is regulated in large part by the amount of food that you can assimilate, right, digest, and convert into muscle. So repairing the gut is a big thing. And yes, there's a little bit of a growth hormone angle there. Similar story for standalone arginine, arginine lysine combinations, ornithine or ornithine alpha ketoglutarate preferably, as well as glycine and a few other, right, like GABA select amino acids. Glycine in particular improves sleep. And on that score, it is certainly worth it, right? Particularly and still, even with inflation, for the price point. If your capacity block is a poor night's sleep, then this stuff, if it fixes it, it's pure gold. GH release or not, pure gold, because that's going to unlock, a lot of progress for you if you haven't been sleeping. When it comes to deer antler, my answer on this is probably going to surprise a lot of people. And the answer is this: you should try it. It would be a mistake to dismiss it out of hand. And you'll read a lot of conflicting opinions on it. I think it's 2 out of the 5 randomized clinical trials showed, the results that people were looking for. The others didn't, but there are, very, very, very large number of factors leading to that. Let me give you my experience, because I think this is unique. I first came across velvet deer antler in the mid-90s. Atletica, which sold the original ecdy product in this country, Redaball, offered a product as standalone deer antler, velvet deer antler product called Rangacrine. It was, and still is, Rangocrine, very rich in growth factors. That much is for sure. They've pulled out plenty of things that would be favorable to muscle growth and restorative actions, et cetera, et cetera. Now, whether those get to where they need to go and work to the extent that you want them to are in my mind, the only remaining questions. For me, Rangocrine made a noticeable difference in my gym performance. I can recall using it immediately after every training session and before bed. And within a week, I saw noticeable improvements in my ability to do work in the gym, to do more work, to do it faster. And bear in mind, this is 1995. I'm 25, 26 years old. I'm not an old man where this stuff would probably really show up, right? It was that good and that powerful. In fact, I would tell you that I would put it in the top 5 products that actually worked for that time. Right? You had ephedrine, you had GABA, you had Retabol, you had Rangocrine, and Atletica had hydrolyzed, the very first hydrolyzed whey protein, or no, casein. Low molecular weight. It was hydrolyzed down to 400 daltons. It tasted disgusting, but my God, did it work, right? And so this Rangocrine stuff did as well. And it was a real, eye opener, because I wasn't expecting much. Velvet Deer Antler was also, now that I think of it, in one of the original ingredients in Adaptogen N, which is Mass's test booster. If I remember correctly, it got very difficult to find and very expensive to source. And so they had to move on and replace it. I forget what they replaced it with. But anyway, here's your answer. For somebody who is younger, let's say 35 and under, with few, if any, limiting issues such as poor sleep and work capacity, a product using these ingredients probably won't make much of a difference for them. On the other hand, if you're 35 or older, or you have issues with too much catabolic activity, for example, due to extreme dieting or overtraining, or both, if your sleep isn't where it should be and your performance in the gym is suffering, then you're going to notice a big difference with this kind of stuff. The ingredients will likely make a big difference for those people, and not just in the gym either, out of the gym. There was a very noticeable libido boost with that stuff, comparable to high-grade Tribulus. That's what I remember about it. Big libido boost and a lot more work capacity in the gym. So I would encourage you to take a look. The ingredients that are in this product are legit. I think it's simply a matter of individual expectations.
Well, there's a Deer Antler Velvet in BioPro, the company that advertised BioPro Plus.
Oh, the GH product.
Yeah. There's Deer Antler, and he told me, he said, the way the Deer Antler Velvet is handled, and especially stored, makes all the difference in the world. And then they test for individual growth factor presence of it in their product. So he said, because when he wanted to come aboard, I first asked him to send me some different blood work from people. And he did, and the elevation in IGF was not coincident, like that. Oh, well, that could be anything, I mean, it was dramatic. And I said, I always thought that Deer Antler Velvet was bullshit. He said, well, a lot of it is. He says, because it's the way it's handled, it destroys the growth factors in it.
It's a lot like Ecdy or Tribulus or any other potent.
And I got a 6-point buck in my backyard. We feed him apples every night. I'm watching the tines on his antlers grow.
Yeah.
They grew about an inch in a month. That's a lot of growth factors. I mean, that's like watching that watching those things grow over the course of a short period of time, it's so noticeable.
Is
So there's
that
a lot
where?
of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I never understood this part of it. The growth factors, are they concentrated
In the
just inside,
velvet, not in the bone, not in the
not
bone.
the actual bone? Okay, that was my
And
question. A
not in
lot
the
of
horn, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and see that that's how the antlers grow. The velvet is on the outermost portion,
right.
and the velvet is laying down the bricks and mortar in the velvet, and so they actually grow because the velvet is on the outside of them. If that makes any sense, that's where that's where those that velvet is filled with blood vessels, and it's like the cuticle of a fingernail, but it's on the outside instead of the inside.
So when they're rucking, that's all the stuff that's coming off it.
Well, and then that at the end of the season, when they get ready to rut, that's their mating season, you'll see them rubbing their antlers, and the stuff is hanging. Looks like it looks like hair. It's hanging off. They're trying to get that off because now it's time to go make babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Send it our way, man.
Yeah, there you go.
It's good. It's been so long, but yeah, that was my experience with it. You can go back and look. I'm sure that you'll be able to find the actual product that I'm talking about, Rangakryn. And I wasn't the only one, by the way, that had really good experiences. So it's too bad that it eventually faded away. They weren't able to get the real good stuff, I guess.
Here's a little comment. Taylor C says, I love it when MMA fighters thank Jesus for beating the other guy nearly to death. I love when celebrities do it. I love when they're up there taking a bow to win an Oscar. I want to thank Jesus. It's actually I don't know. It's kind of smarmy, I think. I mean, I get it. You're religious and you want to thank Jesus, but so what? The other people that didn't win that category on the Oscars, they didn't have a good relationship with Jesus. There's something special about you. It's so silly. The whole thing is silly, and it. You have to remember, humans are the only animals on the planet that experience magical thinking. Magical thinking. When a gazelle sees a lion, they don't think to themselves, he's not going to bother me. I know he's not going to bother me because I prayed this morning. I said my prayers, so I'm gonna be okay, because then he's dead 10 minutes later. But humans, we are the ones, today's going to be a great day, a lucky day, and this is going to happen for me, and that's going to happen for me, and and they have to, and you have to blame it on somebody. You have to attribute it to somebody. So we believe in these magical powers of deities, and they help us get through the day, right? Because it's miserable to think that there's not some sort of magic in the air that's going to help you get out of the jam that you're in right now. Just recognizing, no, you got to turn to yourself. That's scary. A lot of people are afraid of that. So let's see what else. We have comments here. Richard Miller says, prayer is you want, but sharing the show is what actually will get you into heaven. That's funny. Thank you.
That needs to be like a tagline for this show.
Yeah, right. Share the show and go to heaven. All right, look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more comments and questions. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Blueprint Power Hour. Are you suffering from signs of an unhappy gut? Diversity is the key to healthy, robust inner ecosystem. Body Ecology probiotic liquids are made by fermenting organic seeds, biodynamic brown rice, and chickpeas together to create a diverse culture found nowhere else on Earth. It's the secret to restoring your gut's microbiome for a healthier digestive tract, improved immune function, and longevity. Take 20% off by visiting the website shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco. shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco. That's BODYECO. And using the code SHR20. Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it, and you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feelfree and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep, and that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep, and that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/MyPillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactobacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L. plantarum's strength, so it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back. So the next question comes from Richard Murdoch. And I'm moving slow today. So Richard says, I know diet is important in bodybuilding, but I have trouble with all of the cooking, eating, and cleaning up afterwards. I diet really like 80% of, is diet really 80% of your results? Possibly more, actually. I want to look like The Rock. So, you know, The Rock has somebody who cooks and cleans. He gets up at 4:00 in the morning to have his first training session. And then he eats a meal. and then he has another training session with weights, and then he eats a meal. So if you want to look like The Rock, you have to do the things that The Rock does, and he does eat all that food. But if you have to pay somebody to cook for you because you hate cooking, cleaning, and all that sort of stuff, then you're not going to look like The Rock.
Yeah, in fact, I would tell you, I'd say, look, if you can't manage a proper diet, then I would encourage you not to waste any more of your time or anyone else's. Just find a new hobby. Seriously, I'm not being flippant. I am being realistic. Bodybuilding, and that's what you're doing. Whether or not you're, want to look like a bodybuilder or not, bodybuilding is largely about hard work, sacrifice, regimen, and consistency. Fall short on any one of those, and you can forget about realizing your potential. So I don't know about the 80%, of results, diet being 80%, but I do know that without consistent eating, proper diet, you will not build your body anywhere near the degree to which you aspire to. And you aspire to some pretty big heights here. Okay. We're talking about a guy who's like 6'5", and, probably at his peak was close to 300 before he cut down, but none of that happened without eating. And I guarantee a lot of it. So the other thing that I want to speak to, and this is a big mistake I hear and see a lot of guys making, and much more common seems to be than it used to be. When people are confronted with this food issue, a lot of guys will try to compensate and up their steroid intake instead, right? It's a nice try, but it doesn't work like that. Think about this: 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day plus hard training can and does grow lots of muscle in most people, and it always will. Okay, I did it myself. When I went from 143 to 252 using nothing more than homemade weight gainers that you could mix up yourself. But on the other hand, 1,000 milligrams of test a week, and you're only eating 2,000 calories a day, will give you damn close to nothing. Right?
I don't know. I got to tell you the truth. I don't know. I would take issue with some of that because if you're not eating like okay, the higher degree of anabolics will cause you to retain more nitrogen. So your nitrogen balance is positive.
That's true.
But if you're not giving your body the bricks and mortar, it's not going to make muscle. It's not going to make muscle just magically out of nitrogen retention.
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
So I saw it myself. I saw it for myself in college. I'll never forget this. Guy I know, actually 3 guys, but one of these guys started Anadrol at 25 milligrams a day. He gained nothing in a week's time. So he goes up to 50 milligrams, right? Still nothing. So the next week, he hopped up to 100 and little, if anything. And finally, he was using a whopping 200 milligrams a day.
I don't know how. I mean, that Anadrol just made me feel horrible. Bloated.
Yeah. Here's the worst part. He gained maybe 5 pounds of water, and he had a moon face on top.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't take long to figure out why. He was living almost entirely on microwave popcorn. I mean, he literally, I can remember him telling me, he's like, hey man, I don't have any money for the food plan and, or supermarket food. And I'm thinking, oh, God, what a waste of time. And now the other possibility, I'm sure people are wondering, well, maybe he got bunk stuff. No, I don't think so. His stuff was real. And the reason I say that is because his 2 buddies got the same drawl and used the same drawl, and they gained huge. They got so
But they
strong.
were eating.
So strong, so fast. They were the fastest gains I had ever seen up until that point in my life. And believe me, it was tempting, right? But like nothing I had ever seen before. This guy, on the other hand, the one who didn't get any results, he had never lifted before. He had no idea what was required. What he saw was his two roommates getting jacked up and getting laid, and he wanted part of that action too.
Yeah. And this comes full circle to what this this Richard Murdoch is asking. Everybody wants the effects of hard work and diligence, but no one wants to do the hard work and diligence. And by hard work, part of it is eating. It's cooking and eating. You know, you can food prep on Sundays and Wednesdays and just relegate yourself to eating chicken and rice and ground beef and rice. And you make enough food to get you through 3 or 4 days at a time. That's easy to do, and it doesn't take that long. But you gotta, food prepping is important, but you gotta make a decision. How bad do you want to look like The Rock? Do you want to look like The Rock bad enough to stop whining about cooking and cleaning and all that and just do it?
Right. And here's what was really interesting to me. Still amazes me. Despite living together, right, with these two other guys and seeing what they ate every day, because both of them, I did the diets for both of them, and they weren't on the meal plan at college. They were, go to the grocery store, buy your own food. So they bought, prepared, and ate 95% of their food right in their apartment. This guy never made the connection between food and the huge gains that they were getting. Honest to God, he watched it 24/7. He had to have seen the massive amounts of food that these guys were consuming, and yet all his mind could think of is, "Geez, I got to get on that Anadrol. They're taking Anadrol. That must be it." And the other thing that I remember, for whatever it's worth, is he stopped training the very day that he ran out of stuff and had to get off of it. And I'll never forget what he said to me when I asked him about it. I said, why you stop training? Just because you run out of juice? He said something to the effect of, anyone that has any amount of noticeable muscle uses steroids. So I'm just doing the same. That's legitimately what he thought. And consequently, the results he got were predictable. So yeah, bottom line, the answer to your question is, yeah, all of this eating and more is required. And the real bottom line is this: the single most important reason why so few people have the bodies that they want is this: they're not willing to put the work in, and that includes with the knife and the fork.
And Chester LP just put up, everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift no heavy ass weight. Right. Lonnie Coleman said that, right? But it's not just weight; it's the diet, it's everything, and doing it for 10 years. Like, we're not talking about doing it for a couple months and then, oh yeah, I'm done now. Doing it for 10 years. Thomas Whittingham said I should have had a feel free last night. You're right. I ended up having half of one this morning, and it made me feel better. I felt like really, really bad this morning. Chester LP says, how do you deal with the gym and nutrition during a heat wave when you don't have an appetite? So I don't know that a heat wave keeps you from having an appetite, but I'll tell you a good hack, and that's 125 to 200 micrograms of GHRP6. That's it. Inject it 30 minutes before you want to eat, and then keep your fingers away from your mouth because you'll eat those by accident.
Yeah, back in the day, people would recommend antihistamines and other things. I never saw any success with those drugs. I saw a lot of success with the ghrelin GH products, right? The GHRP6, the MK will make you hungry as hell, and of course, injectable growth hormone. But don't discount the eating. I mean, that is, some people would tell you,
the most important part of this.
Most important. And if it's bodybuilding you're after, then I would say, yeah, from an aesthetic perspective, how you look on the outside is largely determined by what you cram down your throat.
And then Thomas Whittingham, and then we're going to take a break and do the blueprint tip of the day.
Yeah.
Says purely selfish, but next time take an Uber. Imagine, hey, Carl Lenore's gone. How? They'll blame it on steroids no matter what.
Right, exactly.
Well, he had a motorcycle accident. Oh, must have been all the steroids he did in his life.
Throw the ephedrine in with it.
You know they're gonna do that to me.
Yeah.
I know that was really reckless of me, and I am reckless in general. So, but I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to drink and ride my motorcycle. I got really drunk one night, and I rode out to my friend Billy's house, and at one point I was on this beautiful straight 2-lane high, 4-lane highway,
Yep.
and it was empty, and I just twisted the throttle and let it go, and I had to slow down because my goggles were stuck to my face and pressing against my eyeballs.
Oh God.
And I was like, I couldn't. And when I decided to slow down, I let the throttle go and I looked down. And so my motorcycle only has 120 mile an hour speedometer. And then it's got a little metal peg. And it was pinned. No, I was definitely doing at least 120 miles an hour, probably more than that. But yeah, I remember thinking, oh man, what the hell's going on? I can't open my eyes when I was blinking. The goggles were like pressed right up against my eyes.
It tells you how fast you were going, right?
Yeah. I mean, but that was reckless, and I'm an asshole, so don't do what I do. Anyway, all right, we're gonna take a break. When then we have the blueprint tip of the day, and then we'll call it a day. Stay with us. P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactobacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L plantarum's strength. So it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. GHKCU is one of the most effective peptides for rebuilding more youthful skin, reversing skin damage, diminishing wrinkles, and tightening loose skin. I personally use Restoracell with GHKCU every day. It's making an undeniable difference in the quality of my skin. Restoracell is fantastic for all types of skin. Now you can order Restoracell and save 25% when you use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. While you may be diligent in your workouts and your diet, don't neglect what people see first and foremost, and that's your skin. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use code SHR25 today. Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it, and you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feelfree and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. Are you 35 or older? Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. This affects everything from making it harder to recover from workouts, sleep, and a general loss of a sense of well-being. It also affects your ability to get and stay lean. BioPro Plus is the first of its kind 100% non-synthetic alternative to prescription synthetic growth hormone treatments. All the benefits without any of the needles or side effects and 100% safe. Previously only available through doctors, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/biopro, that's BIOPRO, and use code SHR30 for $30 off today. There have been no new innovations in men's underwear for hundreds of years. That's all about to change with Sheath. Sheath creates two separate compartments for your man stuff so it doesn't get smashed into a mound and sweaty and stinky. I won't wear any other underwear now that I've learned about Sheath, and you won't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Sheath underwear. That's SHEATHUNDERWEAR. Use code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off. I promise you, once you try a pair of Sheath underwear, you will never wear anything else.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Welcome back. And now for the blueprint tip of the day. The tip of the day is don't drink margaritas. Don't drink margaritas. That's the tip of the day. Now, what is the tip of the day?
The tip of the day isn't too far removed. Yeah, it's about what is coming in American healthcare and what's going on right now. And I'll try to keep this brief, but it pertains to all of us because eventually, if not already, you will feel it in your wallet. Having been involved in strength training my entire life, pretty much, along with my time in insurance, gives me a unique perspective on the American healthcare system, or should I say the sick care system, which is really what we have. I saw it from the inside, and I've seen it, from the outside. On the inside, there has been this exponential rise in both incidence, meaning the number, and severity, the cost of healthcare claims for our population, United States population as a whole. And I've also been on the outside, right? I've been a patient in an ER room. I've accompanied my wife there when she's needed it. It is an absolute mess. And if the federal deficit doesn't do it, our aging population will. I'm talking about bankrupting us, not talking about some corporation filing for bankruptcy, mind you. This is going to be much worse. I'm talking about the nation, the United States. Here's a big part of the problem and how you can hopefully turn this back. In 2008, to give you an idea, there were roughly 38 million Americans who were 65 or older. By 2030, just a few scant years from now, that figure is going to skyrocket to a whopping 72 million, 38 to 72. That's almost double, right? In 22 years, just 22 years. That's like this is nothing. It is an unprecedented increase, the likes of which our country has never seen. Never seen. I don't think any country has seen a population age this fast. And you can already see it plain as day. Take any ride through any, suburban area or even downtown where there were once open fields, grocery, department stores. There are now medical buildings, lots and lots of medical buildings everywhere you look. And so for context, growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was nothing like that. Nothing. There was the doctor's office, the morgue, and the hospital, and very little in between. Right. And so needless to say, things are now very, very different because the aging population requires more frequent and intensive care, which shouldn't be a surprise. But I don't think people understand the magnitude involved here. And also what it's being largely driven by, which is obesity. goes hand in hand with the growth of the aging population and the claims and the cost of those claims associated with them, and all of the issues that come with it. Many people struggle with high blood pressure, fatigue, and in general, very poor health. Very poor. So, what happens today? It's off to urgent care, which is a new kind of mini ER room. From there, some people are sent for X-rays and CAT scans and other tests like that. And where are they sent? Well, they go to other buildings in the community that specialize in so-called imaging services. And there's more. You know, your doctor, who you'll eventually have to see in this mess, will probably order blood work. And so it's off to another building, Quest Labs or usually LabCorp, to draw your blood and to get the scoop on what's going on. And then you'll have to make sure, by the way, that blood work gets to your doctor for the follow-up appointment, which is another ka-ching for the medical community. And it doesn't end there, because, you know, with obesity, for example, again, you're going to need a knee replacement, maybe two. That ain't cheap. And the truth is, we all pay for that via increased premiums for insurance, if you're fortunate enough to have it. And of course, they use our taxes to pay for the health care for the people that are here illegally, who have never paid a cent in taxes or contributed. As a citizen, though, you're going to have to pay your medical bills and theirs. But wait, that's not the worst of it. In the event you need an ambulance ride, right, that's another bill, which goes for around $2,000, at least around here. In the event you do go to the emergency room, don't plan on getting a room, because many of the emergency rooms across the country are now so flooded with patients with various ailments that you will instead be put out into the hall on a gurney. And judging by the nice laminated plaques that I saw that they've placed up on the walls denoting these new locations, they seem to know something the rest of us don't. The flood of injured that they're seeing won't be ending anytime soon. I'll give you one guess why business is so good. There is one ray of hope, one last thing to hold on to, and that's, as a superhuman, you. Because for us, there will be few, if any, joint replacements, at least, you know, due to being obese most of our lives. We will not be running to urgent care in need of supplemental oxygen because we can't climb a damn flight of stairs. We are not going to need the prescription drugs that are oftentimes needed to control out of control blood sugar, because we ate ourselves into oblivion over the last 3 decades or whatever. And there's going to be, knock on wood, no lengthy hospital stays because we made poor lifestyle choices that have weakened our immune system and other physical underlying ailments. The superhuman people will not be part of that crowd. Why? Because of what we talked about earlier, the work. We put the work in, not in days, not in weeks or months, years, and in some of us cases for decades. So while I do unfortunately think that this bankrupting of the nation is inevitable, I just don't see a way out of it. You don't have to change the entire world to do your part. Just do the right thing in your little part of it, meaning you, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your immediate family. We have to turn this around, folks. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be very, very ugly. And I think you're just seeing right now the tip of the iceberg. How about down there? They got a lot of those buildings?
Yeah, and actually they're building a new VA hospital very close to, well, not right off the highway, the
Yeah.
exit that I take to go home, and it's going to be enormous. I mean, it's easily 100-acre plot
Wow.
that they're building it on, easily. And I'm sure it's, there's going to be campuses and buildings and, all the specialty buildings on there. But, Yeah, this is madness what we're doing right now. And then on top of that, all of the agencies that calculate how things are going to affect taxpayers are saying that if you make less than $200,000 a year, you will see a 17% increase in taxes from this new bill that they're passing, and they want to hire 850,000 more IRS agents so that they can audit more. This is what's happening to us in the United States. How this isn't sparking like I mean, January 6th was bullshit. Like they let those people in the building. It was a con job.
Yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, you wouldn't be hearing about it.
Yeah,
it would be a protest at most.
We need a real revolution. We need a real one, like really real one. Not, hey guys, come on in and walk around here, and then and then we're gonna say that this was a insurrection. It's just crazy. It's crazy what's happening, and we don't have an emergency brake. Like when you have a president who is actively working to destroy the nation, there should be an emergency brake. There should be like, okay, enact the such and such law and get him out now. Like we should be able to do that. Why can't we?
Article 25, some people would argue the Constitution might give us the ability to do that. But yeah, I mean, listen, everything's upside down. Speaking of President Brandon, I think he has still tested positive.
Oh yeah, he got COVID twice in 2 weeks.
Double vax, double boosted, Paxlovid. Didn't do a damn thing. God. But listen, do your part, at least in terms of this aging, sickening population. Get out there, spread the word, and lead by example. That's all you can do. You can't control what other people do. You can only set the example and give them the information.
And I just want to put this up because I kind of discounted Chester LP, what he said, and he lives in Germany. And I know I've been to Europe, like ice cubes are optional in drinks there. No, they are. And very few people in Europe have air conditioners in their homes, in their flats. And he's saying, I remember being in Yugoslavia in a Hilton property that had no air conditioning in the hotel room. None.
Wow.
But so he said, eating big is like cardio, a lot of sweating. Then that's a problem. Maybe it's time to take off a little bit. I mean, usually August is the worst month in Europe. So maybe take off. But if your appetite is falling apart, that's an easy hack. GHRP6 will work for you. You will eat everything, even though you weren't hungry 10 minutes ago.
Right. Listen to your body.
All right, and that's all we have time for because we have to jump off. But thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions and the comments. And don't forget to share the show. You never know who you could help by sharing the show. We'll see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Take care, Rob.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.